भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्ण भगवान की जय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्ण भगवान की जय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्ण भगवान की जय।
Now we are having the second session of the spiritual conference. This is on the first day. We have got the second session now, and of this spiritual conference, which is organized under the auspices of the centenary celebrations for Paramapujya Sri Swami Krishnanandji Maharaj. So, to commence, we will now have this Jai Ganesh prayer.
योगिवर्याय महनीयगुणाब्धये गङ्गातीरनिवासाय श्रीशिवानन्दाय मङ्गलम्। ॐ नमो भगवते शिवानन्दाय। ॐ नमो भगवते मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे श्रीरमणी कुच दुर्गा बिहारे श्रीरमणी कुच दुर्गा बिहारे सेवक जन मंदिर मंदारे मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे पद्मदशिखि पीच्छालंकृत चिकोरे मदशिखि पीच्छालंकृत चिकोरे महनीय काकोला विजित मुकोरे मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे परमहंस मुख चंद्र चकोरे परमहंस मुख चंद्र चकोरे परिपूरित मुरलीरवधारे मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे ब्रह्मणि संचर रे आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिराम श्रीराम भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। राम सुमिर राम सुमिर राम सुमिर राम सुमिर राम सुमिर राम जगत सुखमान मिथ्या
जगत सुखमान मिथ्या
जगत सुखमान मिथ्या
जगत सुखमान मिथ्या
झूठ सब साज है
झूठो सब साज रे
राम सुमेरा राम सुमेरा
राम सुमीर राम सुमीर
राम 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 राम
राम राम राम राम
श्री राम 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 राम
श्री राम 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 राम
राम सुमेरा राम सुमेरा
राम सुमीर राम सुमीर
यही तेरो काज है
यही तेरो काज है
सुपने जो धन पिछान काहे पर करत मान
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 बारों के भेद ते से
बारू की
भेद
भीत
ते
से
वसुधा को राज है
वसुधा को राज है
राम सुमेरा राम सुमेरा
राम सुमीर राम सुमीर
राम सुमेरा राम सुमेरा
राम सुमीर राम सुमीर
राम 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 राम
राम राम राम राम
श्री राम 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 राम
श्री राम 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 राम
राम सुमेरा राम सुमेरा
राम सुमीर राम सुमीर
यही तेरो काज है
यही तेरो काज है
नानक जन कहत बात बिनसी है तेरो गात
नानक जन कहत बात बिनसी जे तेरो गात
नानक जन कहत बात बिनसी है तेरो गात
नानक जन कहत बात बिनसी जे तेरो गात
छिन छिन करि गयो काल
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 से जात आज है
तैसे जात आज है
राम काज है
तेरो काज है।
We are now commencing the second session of this spiritual conference on the first day. And we have in our midst, we are very happy that we are having Sri Ramana Charana Tirtha Notur Venkatramanji as one of the speakers of this afternoon. And Sri Venkatramanji is an Acharya of Vedanta Sampradaya. At a very young age, this sagely teacher started expounding on the age-old Vedic wisdom of the Upanishads, Gita, Bhagavatam, and other texts on Vedanta. His discourses and writings in Tamil, Malayalam, Sanskrit, and English are aflame with the power of Atmajnana and the fragrance of bhakti that one gets as an intimation of one's spiritual essence instantaneously. Coming in the lineage of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi as one of his disciples and devotees, Notur Venkatramanji's talks and writings on Maharshi's teachings are a great guiding force for self-enquiry. And our revered Sri Venkatramanji is not unknown to us. We are very, very happy that we have been enjoying his Bhagavata Katha for the last 7 days. And 7 days Bhagavad Katha we had here from 12th to 18th of this month. And the Bhagavad Katha was so nice, it was very excellent, and Venkatramanji, although the time allotted was very short, within that time he brought out all the most important aspects of the Bhagavad, and also some of the very important teachings he highlighted, and also he brought out the essential teaching, the message of the Bhagavatam particularly for the spiritual seekers, how it will be very helpful to us. And then both from the point of view of Vedanta and also Bhakti, both combined like that. So we have been enjoying his talks, and we are very happy that today we also have another opportunity of listening to him. So we are very happy, and we welcome you all who are present today in our second session in this spiritual conference. And we extend a very warm and cordial welcome to our Notur Sri Venkatramanji, and we now humbly request him to give his discourse.
हरि ओम। यस्यान्तन्नादिमध्यं नहि करचरणं नामगोत्रं न सूत्रं नो जातिर्नैव वर्णा न भवति पुरुषो न नपुंसं न च स्त्रीं नाकारं नो विकारं न हि जनिमरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापं तत्त्वं नो तत्त्वमेकं सहजसमरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। मौनव्याख्या प्रकटितपरब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानं वर्षिष्ठान्तेव सदृशिगणैरावृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे शिवं शिवकरं शान्तं शिवात्मानं शिवोत्तमं शिवमार्गप्रणेतारं प्रणतोऽस्मि सदाशिवम्। परमाद्वैतविज्ञानं कृपया वै ददाति यः सोऽयं गुरुवरः साक्षात् शिव एव न संशयः। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। देवि सुरेश्वरि भगवति गंगे त्रिभुवनतारिणि तरलतरंगे शङ्करमौलिविहारिणि विमले मम मतिरास्तां तव पदकमले। In this very auspicious day of Brahmanishta, Shrotriya, Brahmalena, Krishnanandji Maharaj Sama Smriti Centenary, in the presence of Gurudev Swami Shivanji Maharaj's divine presence, in these banks of Ganga, offering our pranams to Yogaswarupanji Maharaj, Nirliptanji Maharaj, Padmanabhananda Swamiji, Advaitan Swamiji here, and it's great, with great joy, I offer my pranams to Atmapriyan Swamiji, whose darshan I had the opportunity to be with him here. And for so many years, very closely familiar with Muktan Swamiji, Ananda Ashram. Swamiji is also here. In the presence of all the Mahatmas, many of them I do not know the name, all of them, with pranams. We will begin this session, which is like an offerings of flowers in the form of words to a great Brahmanishta who has come in our Guru Parampara. I very much remember about, I think it is 98, when I had the darshan of Swami Krishnanji Maharaj. I was at that time for some days staying in Vasishta Guha On the way back, Shantananda Puriji Maharaj asked me to meet Padmanabhanji. While I was here, they arranged a talk in the Forest Academy. At that time, Swamiji took me to Swami Krishnanji Maharaj. So, I have already spoken about the conversation that I overheard. I will again repeat. Swami Krishnanji Maharaj was telling some other person that the only purpose of life is God realization. That was the conversation that was happening there when we entered. So we already spoke about it in our Bhagavatam series, because that is the essence of Bhagavatam. And what is God realization? Or what is realization? We call it as Atma Sakshatkara or Atma Jnanam. Somebody asked Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi about Sakshatkara. Maharshi said, what is there kara in it? He asked about realization. The real, the self alone is real. What is there to ice it? There is no kara in it. What is ever available? Nitya Siddha. I very much remember that very first visit here at that time, we had the darshan of Brahmananda Swami also. Then he gave me a book, and that I don't know whether I read that book completely, but the very title is so powerful. Revelation of the Ever Revealed. That was the name of the book. The self is ever revealed. The Atma Vastu is aparoksham. The Shruti says, yes sakshat aparokshat Brahma. The Brahman is always immediate, ever experienced within as our very being, as our real nature, Swarupa. But yet to know that, one need a guru who has to tell you, you are that. So there, the kara is only in approaching the master, sitting under his feet, listening to him, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. All other sadhanas, upasanas, all give us the chitta shuddhi needed. The mind becomes pure. When the mind is pure, Shankaracharya said, the entire purpose of all the sadhanas is to purify the mind. Tan manas shodhanam karyam prayatnena mumukshuna vishuddhe sati chaitasmin muktihi karaphalayate. Swami Shivanji Maharaj, in all his books, he has written only about this, to purify the mind. Let the mind become pure. When the mind is sufficiently pure, without any obstacle, any avarana, the Swarupa is evident. Atmanam atra purusho avyavadhanamekam anvikshate pratinivritta gunapravaha. We have already seen it in the Bhagavatam. Avyavadhanam, when that vyavadhana is removed, when that obstacle, avarana is removed, Atmanam anvikshate, one recognizes one's real nature. And what is the Swarupa, the nature? What is that real nature for which we are all striving? We know Tapovan Maharaj, who lived so many years in Himalayas and went up to Uttarakashi, and from there also above. Before coming here, he had a visit of Ramana Maharshi in Virupaksha Guha. In that portion, it is very important for a Vedanta Vidyarthi, that portion. And he says, at that time I was very deeply contemplating on the Upanishads, and I got a profound insight in the presence of Maharshi that Shanti is self, Shanti is liberation, Shanti, to hold on to Shanti is Nididhyasana. Incessant abidance in Shanti is Sakshatkara. Coming to this conclusion, I left Arunachala. This is his words. So Shanti, that easily we will understand. The Shruti says, what is Atma? All of us will say Atma, Atma, but what is Atma? Shantoyam Atma. The very nature of the self is Shanti. That is why Gita also, today one of the devotees were telling me, Krishnanji Maharaj is so fond of Bhagavad Gita, so please speak on Bhagavad Gita. So Gita, Krishna says, Ashantasya kutas sukham. If you do not have Shanti, whatever you may attain, where is happiness? Where is fulfillment? And if you come to know Bhagavan in your heart, what is the achievement? Jnatva mam suhridam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shantim richati. When you come to recognize me in your heart as your most dearmost companion, then you will attain Shanti. And Gita concludes, Tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadad param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. By His grace, when you surrender to Him, what are you going to achieve? Param shantim, that supreme profound peace. Uninterrupted peace you will have, Shanti you will have, and that Shanti is the essence of bhakti. In Bhagavatam narrates all bhavas of bhakti in the Ekadasha Skandha. After that, Bhagavatam says, like rivers going and merging in the ocean, tataf param shantimupaiti sakshat. One attains that parashanti, that supreme peace. So Shanti is the very nature of the self. Peace is the real peace. It's not a created peace. Avyaja Shanti. Shankaracharya says in one place, Avyaja Shanti. Vyaja means we know, deceptive. So Avyaja Shanti means what? It will not come and go. It is not something which comes and after that it goes away. Then it is not stable. But real Shanti is Shanti Samriddham Amritam. The Shruti says, Shanti Samriddham Amritam iti prachina yogya upasva. You thus meditate that that abundant peace is Brahman. Abundant peace is Brahman. Profound peace is Brahman. Iti upasva. If you want to meditate, you go to a Mahatma, a Mahapurusha, and sit in his presence. What you get is profound peace, Shanti. In Dakshinamurti's Sannidhi, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatkumara, all of them had what? The mind attained that peace, Shanti. So that Shanti is Brahman. Shanti is the very nature of the self. And what we call as Ananda is also Shanti. Because all other experiences, they come and go. And ecstatic experiences you cannot have for much time because it makes us tired. They also will manifest in the adhisthana of Shanti. And they merge back in the Shanti. So, that Shanti is the Rasa Raja. For a spiritual aspirant, if he gets this clue, his life will be beautiful. Gita Bhagavan says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi, holding on to oneness. And what that oneness is, I want Shanti. Then renunciation naturally happens because anything that disturbs my Shanti, I am ready to renounce. Buddha found that kingship will disturb him and he renounced. So this is one clue that we get in the presence of sages. And that Shanti, that peace, is the nature of Brahman, is the nature of self. And it is not experienced because of the chanchalatva in the mind. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna, pramathi balavad dridham, tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. The mind is so fickle. It makes me go away from the path. Today our Kailasa Ashram Swamiji spoke about pramada. Pramadam vai mrityumaham bravemi. He said pramada is mrityu. Pramado mrityurityaha bhagavan brahmanas sutaha, as Shankaracharya puts it. So pramada means inadvertence, spiritual heedlessness, dullness, going away from the path. And that leads to, that is actually spiritual death. The moment you lose the awareness of the self, body awareness is naturally there. So the whole job of a spiritual aspirant is to remove that which is unreal and the real is waiting there. Shanti, the tirtham is there. You have to just shovel, remove the non-self. That is the process that is being done. Anvayavyatarikabhyam. Yat syat sarvatra sarvada. When you remove everything, the self is ever available within you. Now we will just see that paddhati. Once one has the anchorage, abidance in that Shanti, destiny's invasion will not affect him. Because life is destiny. Life is unpredictable. In Ramayana, tomorrow morning, Rama is going to get crowned as the king, prince. And today night, the whole situation changed. And next day, Dasharatha called him and go to forest. Then Lakshmana became so angry. And he said, I will not, even if he is father, We should not listen to him. Then Rama said, my dear brother, it is neither Kaikeyi nor our father who is the cause. It is our destiny. Yad akasmat pravartate, yad achintyam tu tad daivam. That is the destiny which cannot be predicted, which cannot be thought about. It just comes and invades your life. That we know when we live, our life is full of such incidents, events, coming in contact with individuals and emotions. All these things disturbs you, takes you away from the center. And Gita Bhagavan says, find out that center. Then you will have Shanti. The last word of Gita is Sthanam. Bhagavan, these are all key words. In Gita, Bhagavan says, Sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. The moment you locate that sthanam, that eternal spot, lodged, when you are lodged there, you will have Shanti, the heart, the center within you. So come to the center where you will have Shanti. Yasmin sthitaha na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. When you are once born in this world, you need not ask for dukkha. Bhagavan says in Gita, this is the temple of dukkha. Here dukkha is worshipped. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This is evanescent, grief is there, sorrow is there, but if you get this knowledge, this Brahma Vidya, nanu shochanti panditaha. Once you know this, you have no more shoka, no more grief, no more suffering. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. Stabilized there, even if the greatest sorrow comes to you, you will not be shaken from that. You will not be affected by that. So that sthanam, to find out that sthanam, where is that sthanam? The fulcrum. For that, we come to the master, to Vedanta Shastra. And he tells you, you are the sthanam. You are the center. You are the fulcrum. Find out what is your real nature, who you are. The I within me. The I which is always dancing as I, something very constant. Everything changes, it alone remains changeless. Childhood comes and goes, youth comes and goes, middle age comes and goes, old age comes and goes, and death comes. But there is an element which remains changeless. Balyadishvapi jagradadishu tatha sarvasu avasthasvapi vyavrittasu anuvartamanam aham iti antaspurantam sada swatmanam prakatikaroti bhajadam yo mudraya bhadraya tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Dakshinamurti is an ideal whom we meet in our Sadguru. In Dakshinamurti Vartikam there is a beautiful verse which I already chanted, that Advaita Jnanam is not happening by Shastra Panditya. It comes to you by Kripa, sheer grace. Paramadvaita Vijnanam Kripaya vai dadatiyaha. One who bestows that Paramadvaita Vijnanam through sheer grace. Soyam Guruvaraha Sakshat Shiva eva na samshayaha. That great Guru, that glorious master, Acharya, is none other than Shiva. So, and his mudra, we call Chin Mudra, the Dakshinamurti's Chin Mudra. And what is that Chin Mudra? Chideva Mudra. The Chit is the Mudra. The Chit is pure awareness within you, ever the essence of Aham Padartha. In Sanskrit, almost every Indian language, the alphabets start with A and ends with Ha. And if you close your mouth, it becomes Aham. It contains everything. Namo Aham Padarthaya Lokanam Siddhihetave Satchidananda Rupaya Shivaya Paramatmane. When you want Shiva, He is ever available within you as the essence, as the implied meaning of Aham Pada, the Aham Padartha. So the entire Vedanta is in exploring that ever available Chidvastu, that experience, anubhuti of Aham. That is the one thing which is ever with us, the most simple thing. If we put off light in the room and sit in a very dark room, the only thing about which I am aware is my existence, my Aham. It is Swayam Prakashvastu. I am not aware of the other person sitting near me. I am not even aware about my bodily limbs part. But something which is self-evident, it needs no senses, no mind, no intellect. It is Anubhuti Swaprakasha. Anubhuti is Swaprakasha. It is self-effulgent, it is always there within us as Aham, Aham, Aham. But this Aham is generally confused with the body. Body has nothing to do with it. You remove the hand, the Aham is there. You amputate the hands or legs, nothing is taken away from the experience of one's existence as Sat. That is why the Shruti gives a clue, Astityeva upalabdhavyah tattvabhavena chobhayoho Astityeva upalabdhasya tattvabhavah prasidati. The tattvajnana happens by paying attention to your own existence as Mehu. That oh, who? Amness. वो मैं भी उधर नहीं है. सुषुप्ति में वो अहम वृत्ति भी नहीं है. In the deep sleep, the I thought is not there. The body is not there. The ego is not there. The world is not there. But something which was deeply fulfilling. That is why the whole world, when they wake up, they think, let us go back. You are not going to achieve anything there. The body is left out. The world is left out. All the senses are left out. Yet you choose that ahar ahar gacchanti. The Shruti says every day they enter there. Tatapi na viduhu. Even then they fail to recognize what is there. In the deep sleep, every day you go to that state but fail to recognize. And when the mind blooms, the I thought arises, aham vritti, ahankaro bhavati, prathama vikaraha. It is the first emergence. Then everything comes out. And when the I is consciously traced, consciously you pay attention to this aham within you, which is not the hand, leg, or any. See, modern medical science is giving us the Vyatireka Anubhava. They are removing the heart, removing the liver, removing the kidney, putting someone else's kidney there, someone else's liver there, and they are, I don't know, they are telling that you can even change the head in future. It all shows that the anubhuti of one's existence, that astitva, has nothing to do with the body. Today morning, as Swamiji was telling, that I missed. It is in that Kabir song. He was saying that Sharira Pinda, that anubhuti happens as if within the Pinda, but once you experience, you know that in the experience there is no Pinda. Just as in deep sleep, it is that Brahma Sampatti. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Brahma Sampatti. Even Bhagavata says so. Ahamicha prasupte kutastha ashayam rite tad anusmritirnaha. The ahankara emerges, the mind emerges, all the pinda is over, the linga sharira is over, and what is there is pure happiness. It is given to all. Shankaracharya, when first came to Govinda Bhagavad Pada, he said, Sushupteika siddhastadeko vasishta Shivah kevaloham. I am that Shiva, which is ever available to all in the deep sleep state. It is the state where everyone is experiencing the demonstration of bodilessness, mindlessness, egolessness. Only that Satchidananda is there. But that is not useful. Hence we do Vedanta Vichara to experience that state now, to know that I am not the body, I am not the mind, and what is this I? What is the real nature of this I? When the attention is turned towards that, the I, the aham, that Shuddha Chidvastu, that pure consciousness within, it is separated from the body, from the mind, from the intellect, from the senses. In Nididhyasana, only that shines forth in the heart. Kimapi satata bodham kevala ananda rupam nirupamam ativelam nityamuktam niriham niravadhi gaganabham nishkalam nirvikalpam hridi kalayati vidwan brahmapurnam samadhav. In that samadhi, that vidwan experiences that revelation of that whole, that Brahman, which is incomparable with anything, which is the real nature of the aham padartha. It is devoid of the mind, ego, the aham padartha. The real nature of the I shines forth as Satchidananda, as pure auspiciousness, Shivam. When that anubhuti is touched, it is just like a great alchemy happens. Like the lead is transformed as gold. Once that anubhuti shines forth in the heart, then there is no more going back. Sakrit vibhatoyam brahmalokaha. Once the sun rises, there is no more setting. No more need of any rituals, any striving outside. There is a very interesting story of a Brahmana and an incident that happened centuries back in Kerala. He was a divine person, but he will not do any rituals, any karmanushtana, will be sitting on the bank of a river, just with open eyes, still, unmoving. And it was a village full of very, very achara brahmanas. All of them used to ask him, why you are not doing Sandhya Vandana? Then he will say, the sun is neither setting nor rising. It is ever shining forth. Hridakashe chidadityaha sada bhasati bhasati. Udayastamayo nastaha. Katham sandhyam upasmahe. It is neither rising nor setting. In the heart, that pure awareness, the Chidaditya, is shining forth. There is neither dawn nor dusk. It is full splendor. How can I do Sandhya Vandana? And then he says, I have this ritualistic impurity, what we call as Ashaucha. And what is it? Mrita Mohamayi Mata Jataha Bodhamayo Shishu Sutika Dvaya Samprapte Katham Sandhyam Upasmahe. Mother who gave birth to me, it is not this mother, it is ignorance. Because of ignorance, I consider myself as born. And one child is born, she died, and one child is born. Jataha bodhamayo shishuhu. That bodha, that atmanubhuti is born. Now how can I do all these rituals? Because you will say it is impurity, 10 days nothing. So it's always like that, that jnana makes one pure. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. Tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalena atmani vindati. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparas sanyatendriya. Again, jnanam labdhva param shantim achirena dhigacchati. What is the use of jnanam? What is the fruit of jnanam? Param shantim. You will have shanti. I will narrate one incident. Once, in the presence of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, an incident happened. Somebody, devotees have brought a basket full of fruits. And it was kept there. And one monkey walked in. And it was about to take that fruit. By the time he looked at the sage, was that samadhi, and stood there without moving. Almost for 5 minutes, still, no movement. This is like Chitra Arpidarambam Ivavataste, stood still. After 5 minutes, naturally it came back and was able to take the fruit. Then Maharshi asked the monkey, in Tamil, he said, Yenda Samrajyatha pudikka pore? Apadiye irukkirathu thane. He said, why don't you remain like that? Which empire are you going to conquer by moving out of peace? If you have Shanti, why don't you remain like that? It was a teaching for all around. This is the teaching which Bhagavan also asks in Gita, Ashantasya kutas sukham. We write in placard everywhere Gita Sandesha, Karmanyeva Adhikaraste, or some other Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya, something. But this is the thing which we have to write nowadays. Ashantasya kutas sukham. You have so much luxury, so much prosperity, so much power demonstration, but Shanti, where is it? That peace, where is it? That Shanti is something the Gita brings as the message. It is very mysterious because Gita happens in the battlefield and Krishna speaks about Shanti. This is life. No, life is a battlefield, constant conflict. There is no time to rest. In a battlefield, you cannot say, today is Sunday, leave. Or you cannot say, this is breakfast time, we will stop and then come and fight. It is not possible. They will cut your head and go. Like that, the entire life is like that. Amidst that cyclone, you have to find that center where you are not affected. That Shanti where you can remain untouched. And that is possible only when you know the real nature of the self. And Mahavakya in Shruti is asango hi ayam purusha. The self within is ever asanga, untouched. It is beyond all bondage. Anasakti, its very nature. When you know the self, that is why in deep sleep every day it tells you, see, I am ever free of the body or mind or ego. Bhagavata, Chatushloki Bhagavata, we were seeing that. Rite artham yat pratiyeta, na pratiyeta cha atmani. Everything is seen, but if you inquire, nothing is seen. In deep sleep, every day you see that in the self, nothing is there. But again, everything will appear. So this appearance cannot be undone, but you know the self here in this very life, you go beyond creation. Jita sarga, as Bhagavan puts it in Gita, they conquer sarga. Esham samye sthitam manaha. When their mind comes to that samasthiti, that yoga sthiti, tasmad yogi bhavarjuna, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Always make your mind abide in the self, as Atma Priyan Swamiji was telling, that the essence of Gita, as Maharshi liked it very much, Atma samstham manah kritva na kinchidapi chintayet. Make the mind abide in the self and do not entertain, initiate any more thoughts. Because thoughts is a symptom, a sign of ignorance. Incidents will make you think, events will make you think, individuals will make you think. Think means not analysis, simply thoughts, disturbance, stress. That is the greatest problem now. Living constantly in thoughts, either mobile or TV or some news, constant disturbance here. Once you have that immersion in the Atma Tirtha, that Shanti, that is the greatest Tirtha Snana, withdrawing the mind from the world and making it abide in the heart. Vishayebhyaha pratisamhritya chetasaha atmani samadhanam. The mind is made to withdraw from the Vishayas and made to abide in that quiet self. Shankaracharya has written a beautiful verse about Kashi, where he says, to withdraw the mind from the world and make it, take a dip in that still heart is Manikarnika Snana. It is the Ganga Snana. Then that life becomes fulfilled. Once we have found that Shanti, Nirvikalpa Shanti. Vikalpa means, in Vedanta Sampradaya there is a lot of discussion about Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Very scholarly people, they will say it is not needed. Atma Jnana is enough. But if we look into the meaning of the word, Shankaracharya says, Samadhi Atma. Samadhi is your real nature. Any thing that creates a vikalpa there, disturbance there, which makes you feel that anything other than it exists, is a vikalpa. It creates a disturbance. Vikalpa means only disturbance. Nirvikalpa means disturbance. Without disturbance, you have that Shanti. Disturbance will be there outside, but you don't get disturbed. Your Shanti never gets disturbed. Your peace never gets disturbed. If you can have that, see, even Buddha tried for that only. So even if you don't accept an outer God, even for them it is needed. Even Buddha he tried nirvana. He said nirvana. Nirvana means anything other than that shanti must be blown out, extinguished. And he was striving till he found that sthanam where everything else was extinguished. And where he found his safe home, then he said, yes, now I can safely come down. This is the story of every Mahatma. Shivanji Maharaj, I was reading Swamiji's biography, where one of his devotees has written in Swargashram, after his tapas, he has reached a state of world proof. After reaching the state of world proof, he came down to the world to serve the world, the non-existing world. That day I was telling, I can repeat that story, that Swamiji gave some work to Krishnanji, and one day Krishnanji was fully involved in that work. Then Swamiji told him, go to some forest and do tapas. Then Krishan Swami said, Swamiji, I have so much work to complete. Then Swamiji said, what work? There is no world, go. He gave him instruction to work and he says, there is no world, go. Because the fulfillment has to happen in you. The karma becomes complete when you attain vairagya, brahma jijnasa, and abide in your real nature. Naishkarmya siddhim paramam sannyasena adhigacchati. Gita Bhagavan says, what is sannyasa? It is the greatest tapas. Nyasa yesham tapasam atiriktamahoho. It's a great discussion. What is sannyasa? Is it wearing the dress or changing the name or tapas or shastra vichara? What is it? It is the greatest tapas. Renunciation is the greatest tapas. And jnanam sannyasa lakshanam. Atmajnanam is the nature of sannyasa. To know that I am the Atma, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupa. To know that I am not the body. Naham manushyo nacha deva yaksho na brahmana kshatriya vaishya shudraha na brahmachari na grihi vanastho bhikshurna chaham nijabodharupaha. That Astamalaka said, when Shankaracharya asked, that boy behaved like a dumb, deaf. But the moment Acharya saw that boy, he found that he is like Jadabarada. He is hiding in that form, and just hugged him and asked, my dear child, who are you? Kastvam shisho kasya kutosi ganta kim nama te tvam kutaha agatosi. Where are you coming from? What is your real nature? My dear child, the moment I see you, so much happiness comes to me, bliss comes to me. Who are you? And so many days he was keeping quiet. His father Prabhagara, he was Agnihotri, he said, I could not initiate my boy to Yajnopavita, could not teach him even Gayatri, and he was keeping dumb, not speaking, not responding to anything. But now he is speaking. Shankaracharya said, now he will speak, but when I go, he will not speak. Because he knows you will put him in a school. That is the most dangerous thing that can happen to a mumukshu. So when Shankaracharya asked, who are you? And that boy came out and said, I am not a man. Naham manushya. Then who are you? Nacha deva yaksho. Neither a deva nor a yaksha. You look like a brahmana. Na brahmana kshatriya vaishya shudraha. Not a brahmana, not a kshatriya, not a vaishya, not a shudra. Are you a brahmachari? Na brahmachari, na grihi, na vanasthaha, na bhikshuhu. Neither a brahmachari, nor a grihastha, nor a vanapastha, nor even a sannyasi. Then these are all names given to this body. I am not this body. Nijabodharupaha. I am that pure awareness, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupa. I am Aham Atma. Every song he declares, Aham Atma. Nimittam manashakshuradi pravrittau nirasthakilopadhirakasha kalpaha ravir lokacheshta nimittam yathayaha sa nityopalabdhi swarupoham atma. Nityopalabdhi swarupoham atma, ever available within as one's own existence as aham padartha, that atma is me. The moment that knowledge comes, you are an atyashrami. That atyashrami is one who has gone beyond all conditionings of the body, of the mind, all the limitations. He is established in the bhuma, that ananda swarupa, that incessant experience of shanti. That shanti is dhama. It is the thing that we are seeking. Once we have found it in our life by Guru Anugraha. Even Bhagavan Krishna tells in Bhagavatam, when he meets his friend Kuchela, he says, see, I am peaceful and you are also peaceful. You are in poverty, still you are peaceful. I am in so much prosperity, still I am shanta. Because we got the blessing of our Guru. Guror anugrahenaiva puman purnaha prashantaye. By the anugraha of Guru, we have attained that prashanti, that shanti. And how does the Guru does anugraha? He gives you that jnanam that you are already full. You don't need anything from outside to fill you. Karmana no vardhate no kaniyan. You neither increase by any action nor decrease by anything. You are by your very nature ananda swarupa. Anando brahmeti vyajanat. Till then fruition did not happen. This Taittiriya Upanishad goes on exploring. Physical perfection, fulfillment did not happen. Energy abundance, fulfillment did not happen. First is Annamaya, then is Pranamaya. Then psychic, mental readjustments, meditation, some kind of shanti, that also comes and goes. Then clarity, Vijnanamaya Kosha, there also absolute clarity is there, still there is a longing, a thirst, a state of Purnata is not there. Then went beyond that, had a glimpse of the bliss, Anandamaya Kosha. There also it makes you more viraha, because you touch the bliss and come out, touch the bliss and come out. Then you come to know by the grace, kripa of Guru, that your very nature is Ananda. It is not Ananda that you attain, not achieve. Sadashiva Brahmendra in his Yoga Sutra Vritti says, Jignasa Nivritti has to happen. That thirst to know has to come to an end. The Chikirsha Nivritti has to happen. The Jihasa Nivritti, Prepsa Nivritti. Nothing to attain, nothing to do, nothing to achieve, nowhere to go. The very nature is Ananda. When this conclusion, when this Nirupana comes, he pratishtito bhavati. He becomes pratishtita. There he abides, firmly gets established in his nature. No more is he shaken from that. Then his life is samruddham. That is real samruddhi. The Shruti uses the word samruddhi. Samruddhi means abundance. And what is abundant? Not money, not even health, not even worldly achievement, success. What you have samruddhi is shanti samruddham amritam. You come to know that your very nature is deathlessness, immortal. And there you relax. Vishranti. When Shanti comes, Vishranti also comes. When you have Vishranti, Shanti comes. Real Vishranti is not possible in the body mind. It is Vishrantim asadya turiya talpe vishwadya avastha tritayoparisthe. Shankaracharya says, beyond the waking, dream and deep sleep, in the turiya, He abides in Shanti. And that Shanti was the greatest fragrance that we experienced in great Mahatmas, Brahmanishta, Mahapurushas. Krishnanji Maharaj's centenary, we cannot offer anything better than meditating on the Shruti-Vakyas, because he was so much into Vedanta, Vedanta Shastra, Upanishad Vichara, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, so much into that. So, we offer these words at the feet of Swami Krishnanji Maharaj and Shivananji Maharaj and Chidanandaji Maharaj and all the great Mahatmas in our parampara, offering my pranams to all Swamijis and devotees here. We conclude these words, and now waiting for Atmapriyanji's words, talks on this Sandarbha. Yato mamahatma bhavasi tvameva tato na vachyam mama kinchidasti yadhata veshtam kurumam tathaiva tvam atmanatham ramanam bhajami.
We are very, very thankful and grateful to our revered Sri Ramana Charana Tirtha Notur Venkatramanji for the beautiful talk, discourse that he gave today in our this second session, and it was purely on Vedanta and on Atma, the self, about inquiry and how to realize that and he gave so many aspects he dealt also. So we are very much thankful and grateful to our revered Sri Venkatramana ji. हमारे ये जो परम आदरणीय और पूजनीय वेंकटरामन जी अपने ये प्रवचन में बहुत सुंदर ढंग से बहुत महत्वपूर्ण और तात्पर्यपूर्ण तो कुछ बातें बताई और इन्होंने कहा कि कैसे परम पूज्य स्वामी कृष्णानंद जी महाराज के साथ उनका साक्षात्कार हुआ था, उन्होंने दर्शन किया था और उस समय जब स्वामी जी के पास वो जा रहे थे तो एक कृष्णानंद स्वामी जी से बात कर रहे थे, उसमें स्वामी जी ने इतना ही इन्होंने सुना कि जीवन का लक्ष्य है भगवत साक्षात्कार। ये स्वामी कृष्णानंद जी महाराज का ऐसा उनका ये प्रकाश था, वो वही बोल रहे थे उतना। तो उसी के ऊपर हमारे वेंकटरामन जी उन्होंने बहुत सुंदर ढंग से बताया। वो बोल रहे हैं कि गुरुदेव स्वामी शिवानंद जी महाराज ने कहा है कि जब तक हमारा चित्त शुद्धि नहीं होती है तब तक हम ये भगवत साक्षात्कार संभव नहीं है। और भगवत साक्षात्कार जो ये होता है, भगवत साक्षात्कार भगवान या आत्मा वो एक ही है। तो आत्म साक्षात्कार जो करना है इसको मुक्ति या मोक्ष इसको बोलते हैं, यही मोक्ष है, यही जीवन का लक्ष्य है। और भगवान रमण महर्षि के बारे में, उनके उपदेश के बारे में उन्होंने कहा कि जो हमारी जो शांति है वो शांति में ही प्रतिष्ठित होकर रहना वही हमारा वही ये मुक्ति है, ऐसे उन्होंने कहा है। तो ये जो शांति है, क्योंकि आत्मा का ये स्वरूप है कि आत्मा हमेशा शांत है, अयम आत्मा शांत, ऐसा जो ये उपनिषद में कहा गया है। और ब्रह्म का भी वही शांति है, ब्रह्म या आत्मा उसका जो असली स्वरूप है शांति। गीता में भी भगवान ने कहा है कि जिसका मन में शांति नहीं है उसको सुख कैसे मिलेगा, सुख नहीं प्राप्त हो सकता है। अशांत्यस्य कुतः सुखम, ऐसे जो बोलते हैं। और भगवान ने ये भी कहा है कि जब कोई मुझे प्राप्त कर लेता है तो उसी को परम शांति वो प्राप्त होती है। और जब ये और वो शांति तो आत्मा का एक स्वरूप है, दूसरा उसका स्वरूप है कि आनंद स्वरूप, वो भी आत्मा ही है, आनंद है। तो भगवान कहते हैं कि तो वो इसको स्थान बोलते हैं, शाश्वत स्थान जो है वही है आत्मा का, वही स्वरूप है, आत्मा की ये स्थान है। तो इसी में जीवन का जो लक्ष्य है इसको प्राप्त करने के लिए हम प्रयत्न करना चाहिए। वो इस प्रयत्न में हमें कोई प्रमाद नहीं करना चाहिए। प्रमाद होने से, क्योंकि हमारा जो सबसे मुख्य कर्तव्य है उसको अगर हम नहीं करते हैं, उसी को प्रमाद बोलते हैं, उसमें ढीलापन रखना। तो प्रमाद नहीं करना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो ये सनत कुमार जी कहते हैं कि ये प्रमाद ही मृत्यु है, हमारी मृत्यु जैसा है अगर हम प्रमाद करते हैं। इसका माने हम सावधान नहीं है, अपना जो कर्तव्य ठीक से अगर हम नहीं करते हैं तो इसलिए तो प्रमाद कभी भी नहीं करना चाहिए, ढीलापन नहीं करना चाहिए, अवहेलना नहीं करनी चाहिए। और हमें जो आत्मा का अगर साक्षात्कार हमको करना है, अनात्मा को हमको त्याग करना चाहिए। अनात्मा जो है कि जो आत्मा से अलग है, हम जो भी कुछ देखते हैं, जो भी कुछ सुनते हैं, और हमारे जो पांच जो ये है पंचकोश जो है उससे अलग, ये सब अनात्मा होता है। इस सब अनात्मा को हमको त्याग करने से हम आत्मा में स्थित हो सकते हैं। और उन्होंने भी ये भी कहा है कि एक भाग्य बोल के है, जो भाग्य है दैवी जो है उसको हम कभी भी त्याग नहीं करते। कैसे भगवान श्री रामचंद्र जी को भी कैसे होता है, वो होता है वो जो भाग्य में होना है वही होगा, ऐसे करके। इसलिए लेकिन हमको प्रयत्न करना चाहिए। भगवान गीता में बोलते हैं कि ये संसार जो है दुखालय है और अशाश्वत है, और इसमें तो इसको प्राप्त हमने किया है, इसी को हमको त्याग करना चाहिए। और ये अगर हम आत्मा में स्थित हो जाएंगे तब क्या होगा, ये दुख जो संसार का है हमको और नहीं लगेगा, हम दुख से मुक्त हो जाएंगे। और इसी को ये करने के लिए भगवान जो बोलते हैं जस्मिन् स्थितो न दुखे न गुरुणापि विचल्यते, ऐसे भगवान ने जो गीता में कहा है उन्होंने इसी के बारे में बताया है। और ये जो आत्मा है, आत्मा कैसा है, इसके बारे में भी कुछ उन्होंने प्रकाश डाला है। वो बोलते हैं हमारा जो अहम 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 बोल के जो हमारा जो स्वरूप है, या तो हमारी जो भावना है, ऐसे हमारे अंदर ऐसे एक स्फूर्ति है, वही है आत्मा। वो क्या है, इसका स्वरूप होता है कि चित्त, ये स्वरूप, ये ज्ञान स्वरूप है। तो ये चित्त है, चित्त वस्तु है, इसमें अज्ञान कुछ, अंधकार कुछ नहीं है, हमेशा चित्त या ज्ञान स्वरूप वो होता है और हमेशा वो रहता है, हमेशा सब तीन काल में वही रहता है। इसलिए इसी को भी सत्य बोलते हैं, वही सत्य है। ऐसा ही इसी का हमको अनुभूति, और ये अनुभूति स्वरूप है। अनुभूति जो स्व प्रकाश अनुभूति, ये संसार में कोई भी हमने ऐसे कुछ हमें अनुभूति हो गई, वो ऐसे अनुभूति नहीं है, ये तो अपने आत्मा की जो अनुभूति है, ये आत्मा अनुभूति स्वरूप है, इसी को हमको। और ये जो हम गाढ़ निद्रा में, जो स्वप्न रहित निद्रा जो होता है, डीप स्लीप जिसको बोलते हैं, उसी समय जो हमको है वही जो आनंद स्वरूप है, वही आत्मा का स्वरूप है। उसमें हमको आनंद का झलक हमें प्राप्त होता है। ये इसको ऐसे करके उन्होंने, और ये आत्मा का स्वरूप है सच्चित आनंद। तो जो है सत्य भी है, हमेशा रहता है, आनंद स्वरूप भी है और चैतन्य स्वरूप भी है, ऐसा करके बोले। और ये ज्ञान से ही हमको ये प्राप्त होगा। ज्ञान प्राप्त करना है, गुरु के पास जाके ज्ञान हमको प्राप्त करना होगा। और हमारा मन को सब सारे संसार के जितने सब विषय है उससे हमको मन को प्रत्याहृत करके हम आत्मा में हम स्थित होने से तब वैसा ही हमको आत्म साक्षात्कार होगा। भगवान ने गीता में ऐसा कहा। तो हमको ये है आनंद स्वरूप। हम पुनः वी आर वंस अगेन thankful and we express our grateful thanks to our revered Sri, the Notur Venkatramanji Maharaj for the excellent discourse that he gave to us. It was very enlightening. We are grateful to you. Thank you very much. We are very happy that we have in our midst today also Paramapujya Sri Swami Atmapriyananji Maharaj of Ramakrishna Mission as our speaker, one of the speakers, second speaker in our today's afternoon session. And Paramapujya Sri Swami Atmapriyananji Maharaj is a senior monk of Ramakrishna Mission, Belur Math. And Pujya Sri Swami Atmapriyananji Maharaj, he is of a very senior monk of Sri Ramakrishna Mission order, Belur Math. And he studied Shastras under Brahmanlin Pujya Sri Swami Tapasyananji Maharaj, who was himself a very great saint of Ramakrishna Mission. And he was a very great scholar. He has written so many books and very profound scholar he was. So under him, Swamiji Maharaj studied the Shastras. And Swami Atmapriyananji, he also is a very great scholar, a learned person. And he has also received his PhD in physics from the University of Madras. So he is also a PhD in physics, which is not an ordinary thing. So he is a very great scholar, and he joined the Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission in 1978. He was the first Vice Chancellor of Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda University. And currently He is the Pro-Chancellor of Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute, RKMVERI, an institution which is a deemed university, which has been so declared by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. So, our most revered Sri Swami Atmapriyanandaji Maharaj is a very learned person, he is a very great saint, and he is a very senior saint of the senior monk of Ramakrishna Mission, and he is himself also a very great scholar and a learned person. It's our great good fortune that Swamiji Maharaj has given his consent to come here and spared some time, taken so much of trouble also to come here, and we are very, very happy. We extend to him a very, very hearty and warm welcome to our this afternoon session, and we look forward to listen to his discourse. We now very humbly request Pujya Sri Swami Atmapriyanandaji Maharaj to kindly give his discourse. Swamiji Maharaj.
Om yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai tam hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye nishkalam nishkriyam shantam niravadyam niranjanam amritasya param setum dagadhendhanamivanalam om asato ma sadgamaya तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय आविराविर्मयेधि रुद्रयत्ते दक्षिणं मुखं तेन मां पाहि नित्यं ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ शक्तिसमुद्रसमुत्थतरङ्गं दर्शितप्रेमविजृम्भितरङ्गं संशयराक्षसनाशमहास्त्रं यामि गुरुं शरणं भववैद्यम् अद्वैतत्वसमाहितचित्तं प्रोज्ज्वलभक्तिपटावृतवृत्तं कर्मकलेवरमद्भुतचेष्टं यामि गुरुं शरणं भववैद्यं नरदेव देव जय जय नरदेव. On this auspicious occasion of the centenary celebration of Paramapujya Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj and the Guru Parampara in the Shivananda tradition, Paramapujya Swami Shivanandaji, Swami Chidanandaji, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Swami Yogaswarupanandaji, Swami Padmanabharandaji, and Nirliptanandaji and other great saints, and all the devotees who I call them mumukshus, because eager to get liberated. Liberated from what? This has been beautifully explained recently. We say ignorance, and if you ask a Vedanti what is ignorance, he says, I don't know what is ignorance, but it's something, yatkanchit. And bhava rupa. If it is bhava rupa, why can't you explain this? It is anirvachaniya. It's a very intelligent way of saying, I really do not know. So we will say liberated from the I and mine. Because the whole essence of spiritual practice, spiritual life, and all the scriptures of all the religions is how you can cross the I. That is the cross in Christianity. And the Bhagavad Gita, for example, who we believe is the essence of all the scriptures in the world. That's what we believe in Hinduism. It's a universal scripture of humanity. From beginning to end, the only burden of Sri Krishna's song, the Gita, is the ahankara and mamakara. How we can obliterate these two. For example, the second chapter, Nirmamo Nirahankarasya Shantimadhi Gacchati. When you have nirmama and nirahankara, then you get shanti. Middle, 12th chapter, the Bhakti Yoga. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitrak karuna eva cha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukha kshami. Again nirmamo nirahankara. Go to the last chapter. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham parigraham vimuchya nirmama shanto brahmabhuyaya kalpate. What prevents us from moving forward in spiritual life and even in ordinary life is the I and mind. Several ways are prescribed, several yogas are prescribed, and the Bhagavad Gita, the word of God, the song of God, teaches that what you do, everything is only yoga. Have you ever heard any religious book saying and discussing from the very beginning, depression yoga? We talk about so many different kinds of yoga, and Ananda is the end and aim of all yoga. Here is Bhagavan saying, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. When I first read it, I was very intrigued. How can Vishada will yoga? Because only from Vishada, deep sorrow, spiritual inquiry comes. It has been the history of all the Mahapurushas, and some extraordinary Mahapurushas, like Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and others. It is not dukkha arising out of any incident or event outside. It is the craving of the soul within which cries out to become one with the infinite and get out of the littleness of the body and the mind. There is a spontaneous craving welling forth in the form of extraordinary sorrow. That's the beginning. Viyogi hoga pehla kavi, ah se upaja hoga gan, umad kar aankhon se chupchaap bahi hogi, Kavita Anjan. Sumitranandan Pant says, the first poet must have been a great yogi. He's feeling so lonely and is crying and the tears are coming down, and suddenly he finds he's composing poems. Shoka shlokatvamagata, as we say about Valmiki. His shoka became a sloka. So nobody has attained anything in spiritual life unless he has passed through hellfire. Things are not easy, but the end, they say, you will get infinite bliss. We are living with that hope. You cry to God, oh God, why am I suffering like this, suffer like this? At the end, I will come and take you. Who knows what He will do? But can you escape Him? Then say, if He doesn't grace you, what you are going to do? God doesn't grace you. Endless suffering gives, like the Panchapandavas. For example, Yudhishthira was asked, God has given you nothing but sorrow. You've been suffering and suffering for nothing. You did only good to everybody, but why is God giving you so much of suffering? Then he said, I don't love God because He is giving me something. It is my nature to love the beautiful and the grand. The Himalayas, they don't give me anything. It is my spontaneous nature to love that is beautiful, that which is grand. And here you have the example of Kunti Devi. Perhaps there is no such prayer in religious literature anywhere. What we normally say to God, oh God, give me peace, give me joy, remove all my sorrow, loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Here is the lady saying, loka samasta dukkhino bhavantu. Vipadas santu shashvat. That continuously, always vipada and then sorrow should come to me. Why? Then I will constantly remember you, because only when difficulties come we cry to God. Dukh mein sumiran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. Jo sukh mein sumiran kare, dukh kahe koi, Kabir Das. So we cry to God only to get a tight slap on the cheeks. And Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa beautifully says, God also wants to play. That is the beauty of the Vaishnava Shastras and the Bhakti Shastras. God is Satchidananda Swarupa, He is Nitya Mukta, Ananda Swarupa, all that is all right. But we would like to play with God. And it's great fun to play with Him. Swami Vivekananda, in one of the very high ecstatic moods of bhakti, he writes in a letter to Francis Leggett. Francis Leggett was a very close follower of Vivekananda, an American. And Swami Vivekananda, as you know, was very mischievous in his pranks. Like a boy, he used to nickname everybody, including his own guru. Sri Ramakrishna was nicknamed as Buddha. Buddha means old man. He was not that old. Except Sharada Devi, for whom his unqualified respect. He said, Shatakoti Shashtanga Pranam is the only thing he wrote. This Francis Leggett was nicknamed as frankincense. Dear frankincense, he writes, at 20 years of age, I was the most uncompromising, unsympathetic fanatic. I would not walk near the street in the theatre side in Calcutta because the actors and actresses there were not of good character. I used to avoid them like plague. But at the age of 33, I can live in the same house with prostitutes and not feel like saying a word of reproach to them. Is it degenerate? Or is it I am growing into that universal love which is God Himself? Sometimes I feel that I should go and embrace everybody. Even there's a devil, I will go and embrace him. Then he says, it's a funny world. And the funniest chap you ever saw is the beloved infinite. Brotherhood or playmatehood, school of romping children let out to play. They want explanations. But how can you explain Him? He is brainless and is fooling us with little brains. And this time He won't catch me napping. I have found a thing or two beyond all effort, all sadhana is that love, the infinite expanse of love. Are Sakhe, drink the cup and we will be mad. Your errors and madness. In all spiritual traditions, madness is depicted as one of the traits of spiritual greatly advanced soul. If you are traditional, if you follow the path, if you do all your sadhana regularly, and if you are a gentleman, quote unquote, then you can't be a spiritually evolved soul. You have to be mad. Take the example of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. Take the example of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Take the example of Mirabai. Everybody. Mirabai was called not only a mad person, and she is rushing to listen to the talks of saints and Mahatmas, being a queen, being a woman, no sense of shame. Then Mirabai says, Santajan Sangha baiti lok laaj koi. Ab to baat phail gayi, jaane sab koi. Anyway, people have come to know, let me go. Look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a professor of a big toll school. Such a learning, such scholarship, such beauty. He had a handsome wife. And the call of God was irresistible, and he became almost mad. Most of the time he used to be mad. And with the tears flow from your eyes, it is not only Viraha Vedana, it is the Vedana for constantly being in the company of God and seeing Him and feeling Him and touching Him and playing with Him, and being dissatisfied with the quantity of the divine play, tears flowed down. Nayanam galadashrudharaya padanam gadgadaruddhaya gira pulakair nichitam vabukkada tavanama grahane bhavishyati. Look at the prayer. Oh Lord, when will that day come when by just uttering your name, tears will flow down my cheeks, my throat will come choked with emotion, and my entire body will be full of horripilation. When will that day come? Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, the first statement in the Gospel of Ramakrishna, Sri Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, when this happens, you know you have attained the highest. You do not know what exactly it means. When you chant the name of God, tears flow down, horripilation, and then your hand choked, then you know work will drop away by itself. You don't have to do work anymore. Then a profound statement he makes, work drops away by itself. Karma tyaga hoye jaye. Don't give up karma, but karma will give you up. This is a statement from Yoga Vasishtha, quoted by Sridhara Swamiji in the Tika in the Bhagavad Gita, 18.2, 18th chapter, 2nd verse. Na karmani tyajet yogi karmabhi tyajyate hyasau. A yogi does not give up karma, he is given up by karma. Karma gives him up. Sri Ramakrishna gives a very simple example. Most of these great saints, such simple examples they give. And the most profound, abstruse, subtle truths, they speak in the simplest language which is easily intelligible. This is the difference between great scholars and the simple saints who have not only got the vision of God, we are soaked in God, live in God, breathe in God. He gives the example, when the daughter-in-law is in a family way, expecting a child, the mother-in-law releases her from so many activities. Oh, my child, you don't have to do so much work. When the child is born, all activity is gone, she is only fondling the child and feeding the child and so on. I used to funnily think, so many humorous thoughts also come to me, because sadhakas, we like to think of God in so many interesting ways. Gatir bharta, prabhu sakshi, nivasa shvaranam suhrit, mata dhata pitamaha. I am the pita, I am the mata, I am the pitamaha, I am also a grandfather, Bhagavan says. But here Sri Ramakrishna has taken a new kind of relationship. I am also a mother-in-law. God as the mother-in-law, when you have some spiritual aspiration within you, just like the fetus is growing in the daughter-in-law's womb, the mother-in-law carefully watches and drops all activity. So why madness? I was thinking about the philosophical implications of this. That's the stupid mind which we have. We want rationality, we want philosophical understanding of all these great spiritual truths. Why madness is because there is no causality in sadhana. We should think about it very carefully. Sadhana, whatever be your sadhana, even the highest sadhana of Advaita, of course we do not know what is Advaita sadhana. There is no sadhana in Advaita. Advaita is Advaita, it can't be sadhana. The sadhana means Dvaita. That's why the highest Advaitic text, the Avadhuta Gita says, Esha eva te bandha samadhi manutishthati. This is your greatest bondage that you are practicing samadhi. Nirlajjam dhyayase katham. Are you not ashamed that you are doing dhyana? What will you meditate upon? So even there, the highest Advaita sadhana always with the mind, with the antakarana. There is no other instrument for you. There is a big debate in Advaita. If it is avangmanashagocharam, beyond the mind and the body, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasa, na tatra chakshur gacchati, navag gacchati no manaha, the mind cannot reach there, the senses cannot reach there, then how do you know it? There Shankaracharya very rationally says, no, it is not that there is no karana at all. In the Gita Bhashya he says, a mind which has been purified, samskrita eva mana, samskrita mana eva karanam, purified by what? Samskrita by what? By the teachings of the Acharya by the Shastras, by Shamadamadi. All that you can do is only purify your mind. When you go on purifying, and that becomes a karana, and the mind, when it reaches Brahman, the mind becomes amana, mind simply drops away. Then what happens, we do not know. The later Advaita's texts like Vedanta Sara have tried to explain the peculiar idea of akhandakara karika vritti, which is very difficult to understand. It doesn't appear very logical to us. But they have to explain it. But Shankara and others say, don't try to explain this. Something happens by which you get into this. So when you go there, sadhana is in deshakala nimitta, space-time causation, and the siddhi that you attain, the realization that you attain is beyond space-time and causation. That which is being done within space-time causation cannot lead you to that which is beyond this. So there is no causal connection between the sadhana, spiritual practice, however grand, however noble, however nirguna, saguna it may be, no causal connection between it and the final realization. So in the world, what is the example of a person living without any causality? I thought about this myself. Pagal, a mad person doesn't live by causality. He does whatever he wants. If you can't ask a reason why he did it, because there's no why in him, and there's no why in Maya also. Swami Vivekananda says there's no why in Maya. In Maya, don't ask why this happens. You may cook up a reason. It's called Karana Kuta. And the Nayayikas, many of them, Jayanta Bhatta, etc., they try to cook up so many theories in Nyaya to see the reason for something. The actual fact is there is no reason for anything in this universe. Why this happens, we do not know. So a mad person is not conditioned by causality, and he appears to be happy. If you look at it, have you seen any mad person who is unhappy? He sings and dances, throws away his clothes, and nothing can be done. You can't arrest a madman. You can't punish him. So this example is given for foolish brains like us to understand the state of the mind of a person who has gone beyond causality. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's example comes to me again and again because our Goswamiji is here. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always ecstatically was dancing and singing, and the most of the time he was in ecstasy. Sri Ramakrishna says he had three states: the Antardasha, Ardhabhashya Dasha, and Bhashya Dasha. When the Antardasha is completely dead to the world, absorbed in that infinite self, in the Antarbhashya Dasha, Ardhabhashya Dasha, he used to sing and dance and move about, and the Bhashya Dasha, he used to converse, he used to teach. So Ramakrishna himself, the very famous song in Bengali, Ramakrishna is very fond of it. Amai de ma pagol kore brahmamoyi, de ma pagol kore brahmamoyi, de ma pagol kore ar kaj nai ma gyan bichare, de ma pagol kore. Oh mother, make me mad with thy divine love. What need I have of knowledge and reason and rationality and all that? I don't want all this. This has been picked up many, many poets also. Rabindranath Tagore, one of the greatest poets, he has a verse called Pagal and another poem called Matal. Matal is a drunkard. He says, let me be divinely drunk, superbly drunk, and simply throw this world away and go to dogs. Matal hoye, patal pone dhawa. Becoming fully drunk with the divine love, I will simply throw away all concerns in the world and go down and down. Who cares? People will say, this man has gone to dogs, this man is rotten, etc. I'm very happy because the world doesn't consider me as sane. some of the greatest saints, Karaikal Ammayar in Tamil literature, her name was Punitavati. She had the most handsome face. She was so divinely enriched. Her husband said, I cannot touch you because you are a Devi. And such wonderful beauty, divine beauty, constantly conversing with Shiva. Then Karaikal Ammayar thought, Punitavati thought, says, beauty is completely killing me. Everybody looks up on me and says, oh, she is so beautiful. Oh Lord, give me the form of a ghost. Pay your own kudu. Can any lady think of this? Because nobody will even come and talk to me, nobody will even come near me, and happily I will live with you. Many of the sadhakas in the Himalayas, they used to live in caves, and to frighten people, they used to put some bones, etc., some skeleton, so that they will run away. And still if they try to enter, they will throw stones. The idea being, be dead to the world if you want to go to God. It's a very high challenge, but there is no compromise. You choose. Be happy in the world. Swami Vivekananda says, either be happy or be great. You can't have both in one. Another person who doesn't live by causality is a child. A child doesn't understand causality. He goes anywhere and does anything and talks anything in front of anybody. Everybody laughs and enjoys. One incident which I saw, there's a convocation ceremony of a university. I was invited, I went there. Dr. Abdul Kalam had come as a president of India, Rashtrapati. High level of security, Z++ security. And one small child had come, maybe the kid of one of the officers or the ministers, I don't know. That little child was curiously looking on. Seeing Abdul Kalam's hairstyle, he was so funny. Then suddenly when they was about to begin, that little fellow came in front, looked at Kalam and said, and ran away. Everybody burst out laughing. Now tell me, if I did it, I would have been arrested. Why this child, everybody enjoyed it? Because he is not bound by causality. The moment you go beyond causality, then you are in the lap of God. Be it bhakti, be it jnana, jnani is also. We think of Ramana Maharshi as a great jnani. What kind of bhakta he was, people very rarely understand. The Aksharamanamali song which he composed. The bridal mysticism, Madhura Bhava towards Arunachala. He says, oh Arunachala, I was a helpless teenage woman sleeping quietly in my room. You entered my room and molested me and ran away. Am I going to leave you so easily? I will chase you and then pull you by the hair. Sri Ramakrishna gives this example. It's called Hinopama in Alankara Shastra, but these great saints are full of Hinopamas. He says, Nashtame, a loose woman getting attached to the Upapati, the paramour, and if that fellow leaves her, she will go and catch him by the throat and say, for you, your sake I have come, leaving everything, you can't now escape. We also tell the Lord, I have given up everything and then you promised me eternal joy and infinite ananda, etc. I have come, nothing is happening. If you desert me, I am not going to leave you so easily. Ram Prasad, one of the Veera Bhaktas in Bengal, he says, oh mother, you are teasing me like this. I cry and cry, you are not giving me darshan. To save yourself, you have to save me. Why? People will say, hey, where are you going? Oh, to Durga temple. No, don't go. Ram Prasad, you see, whole life he cried, Durga, Durga, Durga treacherous, she did nothing for him, go somewhere else. And Hinduism is a great danger. It's a great competition among gods. If Durga doesn't help you, go to Ganesha. Ganesha doesn't help you, go to Rama. So in the other religions, you have no choice. Therefore, Durga, if you want to protect yourself, you protect me. আমি যদি মরি ও হর শঙ্করী, দুর্গা নাম কেউ লোবে না। Oh Durga, if I die crying Durga, then nobody will call on you anymore, so beware, so save me now. And he says, oh Kali, you have promised me that if I call upon you, you will release me from bondage. But you are doing nothing. I've been crying and crying. I will go to court. I will sue you in the court of Mahadeva. শিবের দলিল শিল মোহরে রেখেছি হৃদয় খুলে, এবার নালিশ করব নাথের ঘরে, ডিক্রি লব এক সওয়ালে। I have kept the document. You have signed there. You are going to save me. But you are not doing anything. I will go to Mahadeva and then take an injunction against you. Don't push me too far. You know what happens? The entire media will be full of buzz. Breaking news. Ram Prasad sues a case against his mother. He says, Maye poye mukaddama dhum hobe Ram Prasad bole. These are the sentiments of a devotee. If you feel God as your very own, this is the fundamental teaching of all the saints, including Pujya Shivanandaji, Krishnanji, some of the books which he released recently I was going through, so full of sweetness. Jnana can be so sweet. Jnana is not dry. We think jnana is a dry thing. Jnana is the sweetest because jnana and bhakti are not different. For this, you should go to living Mahapurushas and saints and get their darshan. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Not only simply reading books, not only meditating upon gods, Shiva, Kali, Durga, but manifested avatirno Bhagavan. This was told to me by Paramapujya Shanghadyaksha Maharaja Swami Smarananandaji, who is the president now, when he was teaching the Gita. He said the Gita's main teaching is not about God, but about Avatirna Bhagavan. God who is manifested in flesh and blood as a human being. You read the Gita throughout. Repeatedly emphasize, I am the Bhagavan who have come down, come unto me. Every chapter will end with this. He talks about yoga. Yoginam, he says, tapasvibhyodiko yogi jnanibhyopi matodika karmabhyascha mato yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna, ends by saying, yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam yukta tamo mataha. He is the greatest yogi, comes to me. I thought it's a very simple, beautiful religion. The 9th chapter, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam. I was taught by my acharyas. That's why the acharya kripa is necessary. You should go to people who have realized and who have heard from the parampara. They said, this chapter is not about having devotion to Saguna Brahman. It is having unflinching devotion to the avatara. That is the Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. And he says, because a susukham, very easy. Kartum, very easy to do. That which is very easy comes very cheap, doesn't last long. Some of the Chinese goods, very cheap, but you get after 2 days it doesn't work. This is Bhagavan Shankara saying. He says, if it is so easy, then does it last long? Susukham, avyayam, it doesn't decay, it is avyaya. What is that? That is the Avatirana Bhagavan to whom you have respect. 3 places the word Guhya Tama comes in the Gita. Gita talks about Guhya, Guhya Tara, Guhya Tama. The entire Gita teaching, Bhagavan calls it Guhya Tara. Idite Jnanamakhyatam Guhyat Guhyataram Maya. vimrishyeta daseshena yathechasi tatha kuru. Sri Krishna is very difficult to understand. As if he is giving great, democratically he is giving Arjuna, you think about all this, reflect on this and do what you like. With the rider, disclaimer, what is that? Na shroshasi vinangshasi. If you don't listen to me, you will perish. But anyway, you can do what you like. That is the democracy of the Avatara, because he has love for you. Guhyataram is the word used for the entire Gita teaching. Remember this. Then he says, Sarva Guhyatamam Bhuyah Srudume Paramam Vacha. My Paramam Vacha, supreme words, Sarva Guhyatama. It is not only Guhyatama, it is the greatest of all secrets. Bhuya, again I am telling you, why? Ishtosmi dridamati tato vakshami te hitam. I will not impart this to anybody. You are so dear to me, you are my sakha, you are my disciple, and anasuya ve. You have no asuya. Guneshu dosha avishkaranam asuya. Sridhar Swami. You do not dare, Sridhar Swami says, you don't say, oh, he is constantly blowing his own trumpet. Manmanabhava, Madbhakto, Madhyaji, Mam Namaskuru. Suppose that hey, all of you come and prostrate before me. Think of me. Always me. I counted in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham and Mama, Mai, all the vibhaktis. How many times he has used? It will be much more than the number of shlokas. So a person who does not know, he is Parameshwara speaking, not Sri Krishna speaking. He is Avatirna Bhagavan Parameshwara Swayam Purna Satchidananda Swarupa. He is speaking there as Bhagavan. I am Parameshwara. And then he says, people thinking of me an ordinary being slight me. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tarumashritam param bhavam ajanantaha mama bhutameshwaram. These people do not know me as a supreme being, but Arjuna, you have faith in me, and you do not think I am being egoistic and saying, Ami, I. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa could not tolerate the word I and mine. He used to say, Ekhan Karman, this place. Then and sometimes I talked to Sri Ramakrishna, imaginarily. He talked to him, why this time you have given him, when I came as Sri Krishna, how many times I have said I and mine, etc. Now I am tired of this. That is spiritual practice. Then Sarva Guhyatamam Bhuyaha. What is the Guhyatama? Sarva Guhyatama. Manmana Bhava Madbhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mame Veshatyam Te Pratijane Priyosime. I promise you will come to me. Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Mukshayishyami Mashucha. Here is Avatirna Bhagavan promising you, come unto me, I will give you everything. What can be much easier? He is giving you food, he says everything is ready, just sit down and eat. The yogis, no, I will cook myself, I will try, I will do my sadhana, I will go on trying. So there are two paths, the paths of yoga, where you go by protocol. The path of Vedanta, which is bhakti or jnana, both are same, where you go through investigation, finally surrendering to God. You can see how the sutras begin. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. It is Jigyasa, investigation, inquiry. Yoga, Atha Yoga Anushasanam, protocol. Anushasanam is protocol. You do this, sit quietly, etc. The two paths, the yoga path and the jnana path, and the path of jnana stroke bhakti, both being the same, the yoga merges into this. This says, Yoginam sarvesha madgaten antaratmana, a person who comes to me and meditates by gets everything. Two other places where Guhyatama occurs, 9.1, 15.20. Idam tade Guhyatamam shastram pravaksham anasuyave Jnanam Vijnana Sayitam Vijnatva Mokshate Shubhat. 9.1, because he is going to talk about his Avatara Tattva, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. And 15:20, in which he says, Idam Guhyadamam Shastram, Idam Uktam Mayanakha. Once again, the Purushottama Yoga, he also reveals himself as the Supreme Being. Kshara, Akshara, Purushottama. There Shankara is in a bit of a trouble. He tries to manage, but Bhagavan is very clear. So you come to me, there is a principle, you call it by any name, which is mystical, which is mysterious, by which the Supreme Divine Being, infinite and the absolute, comes down as a human being in the form of so many avatars, and they start a sampradaya. This sampradaya, the Shivananda Sampradaya, Shivananda Sampradaya did not begin with Shivananda. It began with the Supreme Being, and a person called Swami Shivananda caught that, and using his pure body and mind, a huge sampradaya of which all of you are a part, and all of us as spiritual aspirants are a part of the huge spiritual sampradaya. It caught Sri Ramakrishna, it called Ramana Maharshi Bhagavan, and so on. And unless you owe allegiance to these people in flesh and blood who teach you, spiritual life will become very dry. This is my experience. Go to these people, think of them, meditate upon them, think of their conversation, their reminiscences. Most of the people in the Ramanashrama I have seen, they enjoy Ramana Maharshi's reminiscences, how he spoke, how he moved about, and how he sang, etc., more than his teachings. His teachings are well known. You inquire into this. A person came and asked Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, Maharshi, if I go on meditating, who am I? I am very sleepy. What should I do? All of us have this experience. The funny joke, a lady was not getting sleep at all. Insomnia of it. She tried so many kinds of medicines, allopathy and homeopathy in India and abroad. Then her friend said, it's very easy. I also had this problem. It was solved so easily. How much did it cost? Not much, about 100 rupees. Huh? You go to Belma, take a mantra from a guru. The moment you sit down to do japa, you'll get very good sleep. Why? Because the moment you do that, your mind becomes calm, and mind is like a child. If you ask the child to keep quiet, it lapses into sleep. So mind cannot keep quiet. So unless the mind is vibrant and alert, apramattastada bhavati, yogo hi prabhavapyayo, then inquiry is not possible. The path which Ramana Maharshi is saying is for aspirants who have no other desire in the world. Only for adhikaris who have no desire in the world, the path of inquiry. Then Bhagavan smiled and said, then take to the path of self-surrender. He says there are only two paths. One is the path of self-inquiry, other is the path of self-surrender. I had the good fortune to meet Muruganar, who was Narendra to Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. As Narendra is the chief disciple. I was a small boy, I met him. Then I asked him something, my desire expressed I should become a sadhu and all that. For 1 hour he fired me, which he rarely does. The essence was, எங்கேந்து இந்த சங்கல்பம் வருதோ அந்த சங்கல்பத்தில் அந்த இடத்துல மர்ஜ் பண்ணி சரண்டர் பண்ணு. The sankalpa to be this or that, I should be this, I should be that, I should meditate, I should not do this. That sankalpa, you merge in the source of that sankalpa. The sankalpa comes from a source. Take that sankalpa, trace it back to its source and surrender. That's it. Later on I realized from the Bhagavad Gita Bhashya of Shankara, Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi Yoga Arudhastatochade, in the 6th chapter, it's a beautiful Bhashya. He says, Hey Kama, Janamite Moolam Sankalpatvam Prabhavasi Tasmata Sankalpishyami, quoting from the Mahabharata. The Kama, the root is a Sankalpa. So if you give up Sankalpa, the whole problem is solved. Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman Tyaktva Sarvan Aseshataha. The Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita. So we have our own foolish sankalpas. I should do this, I should not do this. I think I should run away to Himalayas to get meditate. And you come back. Constantly you are frustrated through spiritual practice. If you are frustrated in the world, of course you have a way of escaping to God. Many of the sadhaka are frustrated with God himself. I run here, run there, I do this. Because the moment I think I have an ego and then I will meditate, I am a sadhaka, I am a sannyasi, I am a sadhu, I am this, I am that, the I immediately kills you. Bhagavan Bhashyakara Shankara traces why Arjuna was depressed. In the first chapter, 4 times Swajanam, 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 Swajanam comes. He says, Aham esham mama ete iti pranti pratyaya nimitta. These people are mine, I am theirs, aham and mama. Because the pranti pratyaya, Arjuna went to Shokamoha. And Shokamoha, Mahadadhi, was drowned, and the only way to come out of Shokamoha is Atma Jnana. That's why you may wonder, somebody is depressed, what do you do? Give him a pep talk, give him motivational talk, give him some medicine, give him some nutritious food. Here Bhagavan is giving Atma Jnana, 2nd chapter. And he says, Gatasu nagatasu cha nanushocanti pandita. Who cares whether somebody lives or dies? Shankara is asking the question, why did Bhagavan give Atma Jnana to Arjuna? That was because Shoka Moha can be got rid of only through Atma Jnana, Brahma Jnana or Bhagavat Sakshatkara. Tarate Shokam Atmavit, Chandogya Upanishad. Shochami, I am terribly in sorrow. I have read so much. Yajurveda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, so many, all the Vedas I have read. All the Vedangas I know, but I am Shochami. Tarati Shokam Atmavit. These 3 words forming a small sentence, the bedrock of all spiritual wealths of India. Only Atma Jnana alone will liberate you from sorrow. Tam Atmastam yenu bashyanti dheras tesham shanti shashvati netaresham. Tam Atmastam yenu bashyanti dheras tesham sukham shashvatam netaresham. Kathopanishad. Only a person who has realized the self and go beyond sorrow. Even if you can roll the sky like a carpet, even then without realizing the self, you cannot go beyond sorrow. Dukkhantam nagacchati. Shvetashva Upanishad, last verse. So he says, you realize your own self, which is the same as God, which is the same as Bhagavan, which is the same as Kripa, which is the same as the Guru. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine. And that infinite and absolute self manifests in flesh and blood as Avatirna Bhagavan and so many saints. And therefore, devotion to the great manifested saints, which is much more difficult devotion to given to God. Devotion to God may not be difficult because you go and offer something to God, God doesn't scold you. Anything you offer, he has to eat, poor fellow. But you give it to a human being, you will not accept it. So, Swami Vivekananda taught, following Sri Ramakrishna, this manifested God is present everywhere. Sarvada panipadam tat sarvadosha shuro mukham sarvada shrutimaloke sarvam avritta tishtati. Same God is present everywhere. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram. Gita teachings are all there. Tadvanam nama tadvanamitvapasitavyam Kenopanishad. Worship him as Tadvana, as the Atman who is manifested in all beings. So neglecting these living gods, where do you go? Worship these living gods through service, through good words, manasa, vacha, karmana. Worship these beings because they're manifestations of the Supreme Reality. This is a very interesting teaching because that Supreme Being is not only Saguna, it is Saguna and Nirguna. So the beautiful hymn, Aratrika hymn, which Swami Vivekananda wrote, with which we will end. Niranjana Nararupadhara Nirguna Gunamai. Is Niranjana and Nararupadhara, is Nirguna and Saguna. How can it happen? That is the mystery of God. And Bhaswara Bhavasagara Chira Unmada Prema Patha. Think of this. Bhaswara, luminous. Bhavasagara. bhava is very difficult to translate, is the ocean of infinite moods and attitudes and feelings, spiritual emotions. Chira Unmada, ever mad with divine love. Prema Pachar is God of infinite love. This God, Advaitic God, is not a dry God. He is full of love. That the essence of God, the Ananda aspect, was emphasized by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Ramakrishna and so on. Even Jesus, for example, come unto me, ye that are weary and heavy laden, and I will give thee rest. Same idea. Sarvadharman paritya mamekam sharanam braja. Here is the avatar calling upon everybody, come, I will give thee rest. All the saints also following the same tradition is that think of me, come to me. How many mysterious miracles Ramana Maharshi has performed unknowingly. He did not publicize. He never wanted it also. How many mysterious miracles Ramakrishna has performed? Many people ask, what is the miracle Ramakrishna has performed? He said, I am the miracle. All of us are sitting here. We are the greatest miracles of Bhagavan, by whatever name called, because we have responded to the call of God and we are in His lap. And one more thing you should remember, we are not seeking God. We are always in the lap of God in the bhakti language, or we are always realized in the jnana language. Shankara says in the Gita Bhashya towards the end, Tasmad jnanaya yatna na kartavya. Don't try for knowledge. Ajnana nivarana eva kartavya. Don't try for, you are already a Jivan Mukta. Ram Prasad sings, Kali Bhakta Jivana Mukta Nityananda Koi. A Kali Bhakta, devotee of God, is already a Nitya Mukta. Is already a Jivan Mukta, is already Nityananda. Realize we are already realized, we are already Jivan Muktas, but only the Ajnana Avarana is only covering us. Ajnanena Avritam Jnanam Tena Mukhyandi Jantavaha. Very intriguing verse. The next verse says, Jnanena to dadajnanam esham nashinam atmanaha. What is the enigma? Ajnana is covering jnana, but jnana should destroy ajnana. How can it? It's already covered. Here the Paramacharya of Kanchi, he gave an explanation. This is found in the 10th chapter. Tesham aham samuddharta vrita samsara sagarat. There he says, Atmadipena bhasvata nashayami atmadipa. But the Atmadipa, I am sitting in your heart, and through that I am destroying this ignorance. So bhakti, jnana and yoga and karma, the combination is beautifully exemplified in the lives of Swami Shivananda and his followers. It was mentioned just now, he scolded a person, what is the book? Throw away all work and go. Jnana. Then when you serve with tremendous capacity. In the modern world, Vedanta has to be preached, religion has to be preached in the modern idiom. All the Ajahallinga, Akhandakara Vritti, Rajyasarpa is all gone. So that was used for a particular purpose. But people misunderstand. One Westerner came to India, studied Vedanta for several years, went back. Said, what Vedanta you understood? Oh, very easy. See, one snake has entered a rope. They're trying to drive away this rope. That is sadhana. So all that idiom is gone. Now it is a new method, new way, in the simplest way. And the present age, so many saints and sages. Ramana Maharshi was such a great jnani. How much he used to respect this hill, Arunachala. It is only a stone hill. He says, this is Shakshat Shiva. And he composes Akshara Manamali for people who are circumambulating and doing pradakshina to this. And so much of devotion welling up in his heart. After his anubhuti, he goes to Madurai, sees all the Nayanmar sitting there, and tears trickle down his cheeks. A person with that bhakti in his heart is no devotee at all. A jnani is the greatest bhakta, and a bhakta is the greatest jnani. In the Gita, 14th chapter towards the end, how do you become Trigunatita? The easiest, Mam chayo abhivijarena bhakti yogena sevate sukunan samatityetan brahmabhuyaya kalpate. You have abhivijareni bhakti to me, you will become a jnani. The last chapter he says, अहंकारम बलम दर्पम कामम क्रोधम परिग्रहम विमुच्य निर्मम शांतो ब्रह्मभूयाय कल्पते ब्रह्मभूत प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न कांक्षति समस्सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद भक्तिम लभते पराम. From jnana you get bhakti, from bhakti you get jnana. Swami Smaranananda told that means Gita Acharya does not distinguish between jnana and bhakti at all. Both are the same. All of us are so blessed in this age. These great saints have taught in such a simple language. Life of Swami Shivananda, even Krishnanji's talks and books if you read, so simply, directly put. No complicated jargon is used, and it's a doable, susukham kartum abhyayam, because Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. So I am blessed to be here and talk. The Vangmayi Puja, may it be offered to the Lord, the Supreme Being, and by whatever called, whose power is flowing through great saints and sages like Swami Shivananda, Krishnananda and others, Asmadacharya Paryantam, and a particle of that, by drinking that, we become blessed. Tripto bhavati, nityo bhavati. As the Narada Bhakti Sutra says, Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
We are very, very grateful to our revered Sri Swami Atma Priyanandaji Maharaj for the very enlightening and illuminating talk. And Swamiji Maharaj dealt with so many aspects in different ways and in a very simple way and very interesting and humorous also. Swamiji Maharaj himself was enjoying and he was also making us enjoy. So it was very nice and we are very grateful to Swamiji Maharaj.
Singing also.
Swamiji, singing.
Variety entertainment.
Singing and everywhere, all things were there. And very nicely Swamiji made it very different aspects and in different ways of presenting things also. So it was complete in every way. And all aspects were there, and we had satisfaction from every point of view, from all aspects. That is why we express our grateful thanks to Swamiji Maharaj. It was very nice. आज के ये जो स्वामी जी महाराज का जो प्रवचन था, इसमें स्वामी जी महाराज बहुत सुंदर ढंग से तो साधक लोगों के लिए साधना कैसे करना चाहिए और हमारे लिए क्या उपयोगी है, वो सब की बात में स्वामी जी थोड़ा थोड़ा करके कुछ हम लोगों को समझाया. ये बहुत ही उपादेय रहा. और स्वामी जी महाराज बोले कि ये जो सारे के सारे हम जो बोलते हैं मोक्ष हमको चाहिए, मुक्ति चाहिए, मुक्ति क्या चाहिए, क्या मुक्ति का अर्थ क्या है? मुक्ति वो बोलते हैं हमारा जो अहम भाव है और अहम और ममता, अहम मम, ये जो दो है, हमारी अहंकार और ममता, इन दोनों में से ही हमको अपने को बचाना है, अपने को मुक्त करना है, यही हमारा मुख्य होता है. भगवान गीता में भी बोलते हैं कि जो निरहंकार है, जिसका अहंकार नहीं है और जो ममता से रहित है, वही असली शांति वो प्राप्त करेगा. ये द्वितीय अध्याय में भगवान ने कहा है. तो इसको समझने, अहंकार और ममता, ये सिर्फ द्वितीय अध्याय में नहीं, बहुत सारे जगह में वो गीता में भगवान ने इसे कहा है. और भगवान स्वामी जी महाराज बोले कि जो देखिए हमारे गीता का ये एक ऐसा एक अनोखा एक ग्रंथ है, उसमें जो दुख है, दुख का भी योग बोल के कैसे उन्होंने लिया है, तो उसी से इसी को भी एक योग बोल के कहा है. तो अर्जुन विषाद योग, ये जो है विषाद जो दुख है वो कैसे योग हो सकता है, हमारे मन में ऐसे विचार हो सकता है. लेकिन इसका तात्पर्य यही है, अगर हमारा दुख नहीं है और दुख से हमको कैसे बचाना है, हम कैसे मुक्त होंगे दुख से, उसी के लिए ये दुख को भी योग का एक अत्यंत ये इसका एक पहलू बोल के लिया गया है. इसी से ही गीता का इस शुरुआत होता है. और जैसे कि कि दुख जो ये कुंती देवी ने भी जो कैसे भगवान से प्रार्थना की है, उन्होंने भी ऐसे कहा कि प्रभु कोई साधारणतः हम जो मानते हैं भगवान से प्रार्थना करते हैं, हमको ये चाहिए वो चाहिए जो कि सुख का कारण बनता है, हमको ज़्यादा सुख चाहिए, सांसारिक कुछ वस्तु हम चाहते हैं। लेकिन ये कुंती देव ने कहा कि हमें हमेशा दुख ही दीजिए, हमें हमेशा विपद ही दीजिए, ये कि ताकि इसको का अर्थ भी उन्होंने इसके लिए क्यों कहा है, वो बोलते हैं कि ताकि हम आपको हमेशा स्मरण कर सकते हैं। हमको जब दुख होता है, दुख आता है, तभी हम भगवान को स्मरण करते हैं, नहीं तो सुख जब होता है तो भगवान को कौन पूछे, हम तो उसके भगवान के बारे में चिंता नहीं करते हैं। इसलिए दुख का कैसे भूमिका है वो उन्होंने बताया है। और ये बोलते हैं कि जितना जो कर्म जो है, ये योग वासिष्ठ में जो कहा है, उन एक उपदेश है, जो ज्ञानी होता है, बहुत दूर ये पहुंचा हुआ जो साधक है या वो महात्मा है, उसको कर्म छोड़ने की जरूरत नहीं होती है। तुमको कर्म छोड़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, कर्म ही तुमको त्याग देगा, तुमको और कर्म करने की जरूरत नहीं होगी, ऐसा इसका अर्थ है उसी स्तर में। तो कर्म के लिए ना छोड़ना है, ना उसको जोड़ना है, ना पकड़ के रखना है, इसका ऐसे समझना चाहिए। और ये स्वामी जी महाराज ने ये भी कहा है कि तो हम ये नहीं समझना चाहिए साधना में कोई कार्य कारण ऐसे कोई उसका संबंध नहीं होता है, हम ये कर लेंगे इससे हमको साधना ये मोक्ष मिल जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है साधना। क्योंकि लेकिन हमको साधना करनी चाहिए ये नहीं होता कि हम ये करने से हमको मोक्ष मिल जाएगा, ऐसा इसका अर्थ नहीं होता है, ऐसा कोई संबंध नहीं है। लेकिन हमारी जितनी सब साधना है, ये साधना होता है हमारे जो मुक्ति के लिए जो बाधक है उसको हमको त्याग करना चाहिए। हम जो है हमारा जितना जो है मन को पवित्र करना चाहिए, शुद्धि मन की चाहिए, इसके लिए वो करना है। तो मन को शंकराचार्य ने जैसे बताया कि संस्कृतम मन एवं मनः, मन जब हमारा संस्कृत हो जाता है, इसका माने शुद्ध हो जाता है, तभी हमको साधना में आगे बढ़ने के लिए हमको सुविधा होती है, हम आगे जा सकते हैं। तो यही इसका तात्पर्य है, वही आवश्यकता यही है। और ये स्वामी जी महाराज ने ये भी कहा कि हमको ये जो साधना में कोई भी तो ढीलापन नहीं रखना चाहिए, उसमें क्या कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं करनी चाहिए। साधना में हमको जैसे करना है उसी के प्रति हमारा मन हमेशा लगे रहना चाहिए। और स्वामी जी ये भी है कि भक्ति और ज्ञान ये लिए हमको कैसे प्राप्त होगा, भक्ति और ज्ञान के लिए। तो स्वामी जी महाराज ने कहा कि जो भगवान के स्वरूप है, जो भगवान जैसे ही जो भगवान का जो जैसे जीवन वो जो जीते हैं अभी, जो संत महात्मा वगैरह गुरु हो, उनके पास जाने से उन्हीं से हमको भक्ति और ज्ञान हमको प्राप्त होता है। तो लिविंग सेंट, लिविंग गॉड ऐसे वो बोलते हैं कि जो अभी भी भगवान हमारे सामने है, एक गुरु के रूप में या तो संत के रूप में, महात्मा के रूप में, उनके पास जाने से हमको ये भक्ति और ज्ञान का इसका हमें प्राप्त होगा उससे। और गीता में भगवान में बोलते हैं मोक्ष जो है, तो मोक्ष भी हमारा कैसे लक्ष्य है इसको करने, और उसके लिए भगवान जो उपदेश देते हैं वो बोलते हैं कि बहुत सरल है, बहुत सुखद है, सुसुखम कर्तुम अव्ययम, बहुत करने के लिए बहुत ये सहज है, और लेकिन ये अव्यय है, ये अव्यर्थ है, इसका हमको जरूर इसका हमें इससे फल प्राप्त होगा उसे। और स्वामी जी बोलते हैं, बोले कि आखिर में हमारे जो दो ही मार्ग हैं, एक जो मार्ग है कि आत्मविचार करना चाहिए, हमारे आत्मा का संधान जो है सेल्फ इंक्वायरी, आत्मविचार एक तो एक मार्ग है, ज्ञान का मार्ग है। दूसरा बात है कि आत्मसमर्पण करना है, अपने को पूर्ण मात्रा से भगवान को समर्पण करना, ये जो भक्ति होती है। तो ज्ञान और भक्ति यही दो आखिर में यही असली यही दो ही मार्ग होते हैं, ऐसा ही हमको समझना चाहिए। और हमारे जो ये भगवान ने गीता में जैसे कहा है कि संकल्प जो हम करते हैं, संकल्प ही सब हमारा दुख का कारण बनता है, संकल्प से ही हमारे सारे कामना वासना सब आता है। संकल्प प्रभवान कामान त्यक्त्वा सर्वान अशेषतः, ऐसे बोल के गीता में भगवान बोलते हैं। तो संकल्प जो है यही हमारा सब दुख का कारण है, यही हमें हमेशा वही सब कुछ हमारे जो समस्याएं संकल्प से ही होता है। इसीलिए इसको संकल्प हमको त्याग करना चाहिए। संकल्प का अर्थ क्या होता है? स्वामी जी बोलते हैं, बोले हैं उन्होंने कि हमें ये चाहिए, मैं ये करूँगा, वो करूँगा, ऐसे ही मन में जो जितने सब विचार आता है, मैं ये करूँगा, मुझे ये चाहिए, ये सब संकल्प का स्वरूप है। ऐसे सब संकल्प त्याग करके आनंद में रहना चाहिए। और ये सब संकल्प वगैरह सब भी होगा, मन को भी हमें शांति मिलेगी, आत्मज्ञान से ही शांति मिलेगी। आखिर में सब कुछ आत्मज्ञान के ऊपर ही सब स्थित रहता है। आत्मज्ञान को अगर हमें प्राप्त हो गया तब तो हमारे जो अहम मम जो हम चाहते हैं कि उससे हम कैसे मुक्त होंगे, उसी से अपने आप हो जाएगा। अगर अपने को हम जो आत्मा में, अपनी आत्मा में अगर हम स्थित रखेंगे तब ये अहम ममता ये सब चला जाए। आत्मा में हम कैसे स्थित रहेंगे, वही हमारा लक्ष्य होना चाहिए। और वो जो आत्मा है ये कोई अलग आत्मा ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। हमारे जो आत्मा जो है वही, वो जो ये भगवान भी वही है और गुरु भी हमारे वही है, ऐसे करके समझना चाहिए। ये सब वही एक आत्मा ही है, ये सब एक आत्मा के ही स्वरूप है। तो ऐसे समझ के हम इन्हीं को प्रति हमें निष्ठा रखनी चाहिए। और ये भी हमें याद रखना है, हम सोचना चाहिए भगवान कहाँ है। भगवान को प्राप्त करने के लिए बहुत सुंदर है ये सोचना चाहिए, भगवान ही सर्वत्र व्याप्त है, भगवान सब जगह है, सब में वही एक भगवान ही है। ऐसा अगर हम हमेशा सोच सकते हैं, समझ सकते हैं, ऐसे ही दर्शन करेंगे तभी हम आत्मा में हम स्थित हो जाएंगे। ये हमको सुविधा होगी, क्योंकि भगवान सर्वत्र है, सब जगह भगवान परिव्याप्त है, सर्वव्यापी है भगवान, सब में भी वही एक भगवान ही। ऐसा हमको याद रखना है, स्मरण करना है, ऐसे ही दृष्टि से हमको देखना चाहिए। और भगवान आखिर में ये भी बोलते हैं कि सब कुछ जितने तुम्हारे सब लौकिक धर्म है वो सब लौकिक धर्म को त्याग करके मुझे सब कुछ समर्पण करो, मुझे तुम आश्रय करो। सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य मामेकम शरणम ब्रज, मुझे ही तुम ये ऐसा ही समर्पण करो, मुझे आश्रय लो। ऐसा ये भगवान का ये उपदेश है। और भगवान ये स्वामी ये भी बोलते हैं, स्वामी जी ने कहा कि हम वही महात्मा ये बोलते हैं भगवान क्या है, हम भगवान को हम ढूंढेंगे, भगवान के खोज में हमें ये नहीं सोचना चाहिए, हम तो भगवान के ही गोद में हैं। हम भगवान में, वी आर इन द लैप ऑफ गॉड, वी डोंट हैव टू सीक गॉड, वी आर ऑलरेडी इन हिज लैप। तो भगवान के गोद में हम हमेशा हैं, क्योंकि भगवान के सिवा, भगवान के छोड़ के और कहीं जगह हम नहीं रह सकते हैं, हर जगह वही भगवान है, इसलिए हम भगवान के गोद में ही है, ऐसा हमको समझना चाहिए। और ये भी स्वामी जी ने कहा है कि परम पूज्य स्वामी शिवानंद जी महाराज ने भक्ति, ज्ञान, कर्म और योग, ये जितने सब योगों के मार्ग हैं, अलग अलग सब पंथा हैं, हम सोचते हैं, इन सब का अच्छी तरह एक समन्वय स्वामी जी महाराज ने किया है। सिंथेसिस ऑफ योगा, योगा ऑफ सिंथेसिस, कि ये सब यही एक ही है, अलग अलग पहलू ही हैं, लेकिन एक योग ही ऐसा है। कर्म भी है, भक्ति भी है, ज्ञान भी है, और योग का भी अभ्यास, ये सब ऐसे हम एक साथ कैसे कर सकते हैं। स्वामी शिवानंद जी महाराज ने हमें अच्छी तरह समझाया है, उपदेश में भी सब दिया है। तो इसी को हमको ये करते हैं। स्वामी जी बोले कि हमारे आश्रम में भी हम ऐसे ही सब कुछ करते हैं, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है। और आखिर में ज्ञान और भक्ति अलग अलग नहीं है, हमारी साधारण ऐसे हमारी भावना है, सोचना है, हम सोचते हैं कि ज्ञान अलग है, भक्ति अलग है, ये दोनों अलग अलग मार्ग है, अलग अलग पंथा है, ऐसी बात नहीं। वो आखिर में जो होता है, जो ज्ञान का जो आखिर में जो चरम सीमा जो है, चरम स्थिति जो है वो भी, और योग भक्ति का भी चरम स्थिति वो एक ही है। तो स्वामी शिवानंद महाराज वो ये कहते हैं कि पराभक्ति इज द सेम एज परा ज्ञान। तो इसका माने आखिर में जो सबसे ऊंचाई भक्ति जो है वो भी सबसे ऊंचा ज्ञान है। ऊंची स्तर में, सबसे ऊंची स्तर में ज्ञान और भक्ति एक होते हैं। उस समय ज्ञान और भक्ति अलग अलग नहीं है, हमको ये सोचना चाहिए। इसका मैंने ज्ञान और भक्ति के बीच में कोई विरोधात्मक भाव नहीं है। ज्ञान करने से, ज्ञान का अभ्यास करने से हम आखिर में भक्ति में पहुँचेंगे, और भक्ति सब का अभ्यास करने से भी आखिर में हम ज्ञान को पहुँचाएंगे। स्वामी जी महाराज ने ये कहा है, स्वामी भगवान कैसे गीता में आखिर में बोलते हैं, ऐसे सब योग ऐसा करने से तुम ज्ञान के द्वारा मुझे मेरी भक्ति होगी, और भक्ति का भी अगर तुम अभ्यास करोगे आखिर में तुम ज्ञान प्राप्त करोगे, ऐसे भगवान ने गीता में कहा है। तो स्वामी जी महाराज ने बहुत सुंदर ढंग से ऐसा सब हमें ये आज के ये उनके प्रवचन में हमने ये सब हमको सुनने को मिला। बहुत अच्छी बात है। वी आर वेरी वेरी ग्रेटफुल एंड थैंकफुल टू स्वामी जी महाराज फॉर द वेरी नाइस excellent talk, discourse that Swamiji Maharaj gave. It has been very helpful and beneficial to all of us. We express our grateful thanks to Swamiji Maharaj for having taken the trouble of coming to our ashram and for enlightening us. So our grateful thanks to Swamiji Maharaj. Hari Om. Now we will do a little prayer, just concluding prayers. Om Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pasyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Kayena vacha manasendriyairva buddhyatmana va prakrute svabhavat karomi yajat sakalam parasmai narayanaeti samarpayami. सच्चिदानंद भगवान की जय, कृष्ण भगवान की जय, विश्वनाथ भगवान की जय, गंगा मैया की जय, सद्गुरु स्वामी शिवानंद जी महाराज की जय, परम पूज्य श्री स्वामी कृष्णानंद जी महाराज की जय, सब संतन की जय, सब भक्तों की जय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव।
भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्री